Emily was a 28-year-old female architect. She was in a remote area, far from her city, for a business trip. It was her first day in that city. After work, she set off to a nearby hotel for a misty, cool evening stay. The hotel she was going to stay at had been recommended by her colleague Arthur. Emily arrived at the front of the hotel. It was a charming, old, and mysterious-looking wooden structure. Excitedly, as she slowly approached the receptionist greeted her with a smile. Emily found it odd that the receptionist's attire was very poor and old for a receptionist, but she didn't mind. The receptionist assigned Emily room number 104.
Everything was about to begin now.
Emily entered her room with her tired body and closed the door behind her. However, there was an uneasy atmosphere in the room. The musty, damp wood left a bitter smell in the room. After spending the night here, Emily wouldn't stay here again. She decided to take a shower to relax before sleeping. She took a warm shower and finally lay down in bed, trying to fall asleep. But that night, she started to hear strange noises. At first, she only heard faint rattling and human whispers, but then they became louder and more distinct. She thought the human voices sounded like the receptionist's voice, so she ignored them. Then he realized that the voices were coming from every corner of the room. They were whispering in her ear, frightening her and disturbing her sleep. Emily realized that she was tensing up and sweating. Frightened, she pulled the duvet up to her chin and closed her eyes tightly, but the voices didn't stop. On the contrary, they grew stronger. She began to hear the receptionist's ugly voice more often and louder. Finally, unable to bear it, she jumped out of bed and turned on the lights. The room was empty, but the whispers could still be heard. Just as Emily was about to fall asleep, someone knocked on the door. Feeling that she had heard it in her sleep, Emily ignored it. Before she had a chance to close her eyes again, the knocking became louder. Emily jumped out of bed and her eyes filled with fear. She approached the door and locked it once more. The sound had stopped, and Emily thought it must have been a mistake and went to the bathroom to wash her face and get back into bed. She washed her face and looked up and saw behind her the receptionist with the ugly, disgusting voice, and Arthur with a terrible smile on his face, recommending the hotel to Emily. She screamed at the top of her lungs and ran to the door, but it was locked. Her family, friends, and co-workers could not reach Emily again. But what happened to Emily is unknown.